Right, guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about risk, okay? And basically, I want to ask you, is this worth the risk, okay? We'll discuss risk as a concept, right? So when we're dealing with children and we say we think they need a bit of help or whatever, right? What we do is we use assessment tools. And in these assessment tools, we consider lots of things like education, health, additional needs, family dynamics, income, family support, like wider family support, the community, lots of things like that, right? So we consider a lot of things. Now, these risk assessments aren't perfect, okay? They've got lots of problems themselves. I'll give you an example now. I'll give you a personal example. A child from a housing estate would get marked down because they're in a housing estate, whereas I would have got marked up in my situation because we lived in our own house. It was immaculate and everything was well kept and things like that, okay? Now, that family could have got marked down and there could have been a lot of support and a lot of love, you know. They just need a little bit of help. And so sometimes these tools aren't perfect, right? And we don't always get it right, okay? We don't always get it right at all. And that's why it's important that we recognise this throughout, okay? There's work to be done. Nothing is bomb-proof, guys, right? Nothing is. Also with the change of times, we've got the internet, social media and things like that. So again, the risks change, you know, the risks change and we have to change the way we do things and we need to look at things and we need to constantly review stuff. And we need to do things at a local level because to do a risk assessment on someone, it needs to be on them. It needs to be needs-based, circumstantial, situational, right, for that person or for that local group or for that local school or whatever, okay? But everything needs to be narrowed down when this is how we do things in this country, right? This is the approach we take. It's needs based, and that's how we risk things. Simple as that, right? There's no point prettying up. We do risk assessments, right? So now I want to take your attention now, right, to this document, the World Health Organization document that the UK signed up to in 2017. Now this first came out in 2010, guys, right? And this has laid the foundations for sex education all over the world. There is an updated one, the UNESCO document, which is beefed up with rights, okay? So if you're reading the UNESCO document, you might be easily manipulated by that. But that's why it's important we take you back to the beginning, because I'm going to ask you again, is it worth the risk, all right? So what I'm going to do is I just want to show you how to read this document, guys, right? Because it's easy to get carried away and see things in a different light, right? But what you need to do, you need to keep looking back at these age groups. Because sometimes when you're reading it, right, there's a massive difference between 0 and 4, okay? There's also a massive difference between a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. And there's also a massive difference between a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. And these are the things you need to understand, right? So that's how they age group these things, okay? But again, risk tells you, right, that age is irrelevant when it comes to assessing a situation and risk assessing someone, because everyone is different, right? Everyone develops at a different pace. And, well, this document does point that out, actually. Everybody sexually develops at a different pace, but it has them consenting at a different pace, you know? So again, guys, I just want to show you really, I just want to ask you, is this worth the risk, you know? So I'm going to read you a few things now. And like I said as well, guys, right? You also need to have a look, right? So you've got these subtitles here. You've got the information fed into a child, the skills the child will acquire, and then the attitude towards that thing, right? And you really do need to look at these. You need to take a time, look at them, keep going back of the head and keep going to the subtitles, and all right? And you ask yourself, does this make sense, all right? And then you ask yourself, is this worth the risk? Does this suit my family? Does this suit any family? Does this suit our education system, right? Because in my opinion, it most certainly does not. So I just want to, which part shall I read here then? I just want to read a part from, I'll read some bits then about the information fed into children, right? Age 0 to 4. So enjoyment and pleasure when touching one's own body, early childhood masturbation. Guys, that's not my words. The fact that enjoyment of physical closeness is a normal part of everyone's life. Yes, it is. It is part of an adult's life. Do you know what I mean? Yes. Why do you have to tell a child under the age of 4 that being close to somebody is normal and enjoyment and pleasure and masturbation? Why would you feed that information into a child that do not know? apparently the skills this 4-year-old and under will acquire, right, is they'll be able to talk about pleasurable and unpleasurable feelings in their own body, all right? They'll be able to express their own needs and wishes, which is fantastic, okay? But not when we're dealing with a sexual document, right? So they'll be able to express their own needs, wishes and boundaries, for example, in the context of playing doctors. We all know what that means, guys, don't we, right? So the attitudes they'll have towards it is, okay, they'll have a positive attitude towards one body's functions. And they'll have a positive body image. How that gives you a positive body image, I do not know, okay? But this is what this document is telling me it's doing, okay? Again, yes and no feelings. Say yes and no. Express and communicate own feelings, wishes and needs under the age of 4, mind, right? Good and bad experiences of your own body. What feels good? Listen to your body. If the experience of feeling is not good, you don't always have to comply, okay? So if it's not feeling good, you don't have to comply. Under the age of 4, mind, right? Say yes or no again. Express needs and wishes. Differentiate between good and bad secret. That one makes my blood boil. That makes my blood boil, okay? No child knows it involved in a bloody, in sex abuse. No child knows that at all. Most teenagers don't know that either when they've been bloody groomed. They consent into it, you know what I mean? This needs to stop before it starts, right? Again, guys, an awareness of their rights, which leads to self-confidence. The attitude, my body belongs to me. The feeling they can make their own decisions under the age of 4. Under the age of 4, mind, right? And again, guys, differentiate between private and public behaviour. Know where you can touch. Now, we don't want children to differentiate between where they can behave in certain ways. We want children to be themselves, all right? So, like, even down to differentiate between good and bad secret, children are supposed to drop you in it. Children don't keep secrets. If you want to safeguard your child, you stop telling your child to keep secrets, okay? Because you could be adding to that and you could live to regret it, all right? Differentiate between public and private behaviour. Sometimes when children are sexually abused, all right, they behave in a sexual manner to other children and adults, okay? So we want that. We want that because that is a risk factor, all right? So we would investigate. Why the hell are we telling children where they cannot do this, okay? We want them to be themselves and we deal with that individual, okay, at the time. We do not generalise this kind of education. So let's move on, guys. Is it? So age 4 and 6 now, so 6 and under, right? Myths related to reproduction, enjoyment and pleasure when touching one's own body, early childhood masturbation, appropriate sexual language, sexual feelings, closeness, enjoyment, excitement as part of human feelings. These should be positive feelings. They should not include coercion or harm. Children are always coerced into sexual activity. All right, they're always coerced into it anyway. Do they know? You adults are speaking a coercive and controlling behaviour. Did you know? Did you find yourself, you know, oh, he's trying to control me, or she's trying to control me, the coercive? No, guys, right? This is something children cannot understand, especially a 4 to 6-year-old, all right? Secret loves and first loves. Secret loves and first loves under the age of 6. Express needs and wishes. Talk about sexual matters. Use sexual language in a non-offensive way. Express and communicate own emotion, wishes and needs. The attitude that their own experience and expression of emotions is right and it's important. Okay? Good and bad experiences of your body, what feels good. And this is the best part. This annoys me so much, abuse, okay? There are some people who are not good. They pretend to be kind, but they might be violent. Guys, do you know sex abuse on children, right, is very rarely violent. The more violent sex abuse actually comes from the woman, believe it or not, right? So all these documents do is take kids away from people who are angry, and obviously I don't agree with violence anyway. That's the household I grew up in myself, all right? So it's not like I'm supporting anything like that. I'm just saying there's these documents are quite manipulative, all right? They don't show children all abuse, okay? They're telling children that people can pretend to be kind when sometimes they can be violent. Well, actually, if people pretend to be kind, you become their favourite because they're actually abusing you, okay? That's a fact. The attitude that they have a choice. An awareness of risks. Well, that's what we're talking about here now, guys, isn't it? The attitude, my body belongs to me. Express needs and wishes. An awareness of their rights. Awareness of their rights, their sexual rights at the age of 6, 4 to 6, okay? Right, here we go. I'm only going to go up to 6 to 9 now, guys, and I'm not going to do any more because it drives me absolutely nuts. I can't deal with it. Right, so feelings of love and being in love. Choices about parenthood and pregnancy and infertility and adoption. Right, so think about it now, guys, right? 6 to 9, this is now, right? They're talking about contraception, different methods of contraception, deal with sex in the media, use sexual language in a non-offensive way, enjoyment and pleasure when touching one's body, masturbation, self-stimulation, appropriate sexual language, sexual intercourse. Sexual intercourse, age 6 to 9, all right? Difference between friendship, love and lust. Secret loves, first love. Secret loves, again, guys, express and communicate emotions, own wishes and needs. The acceptance of feelings of love are part of emotion and natural. Yes, they are. But at the end of the day, guys, this is age 6 to 9. Name their rights, sexual rights, feelings of responsibility for oneself, awareness of rights and choices, awareness of choices and possibilities, awareness of disease related to sexuality, sexual violence and aggression. Nothing to do with being groomed. Nothing at all to do with being groomed and manipulated, right? Here we are, age 9 to 12. Remember, guys, right, age 12 is, you turn 12 when in the comp. So 9, 10, 11 are all primary school ages, right? Internal and external reproductive organs and functions. Maybe that would be more towards the end. Well, external, they don't want internal at that age. Pleasure, masturbation, and orgasm. First sexual behavior experience, sexual behavior of young people, the variability of sexual behavior. Make conscious decisions to have a sexual experience or not. Refuse unwanted sexual behavior. Understand that everyone has her own timetable of sexual development. Guys, need I go on? No, I don't, okay? I haven't even gone halfway through age 9 to 12 with you, okay? As you can see, the underlying bits of the problem, it doesn't all look bad, all right? Remember, guys, keep looking at the age. Keep looking at the titles on these documents, right? And I'm going to ask you again, guys, is this worth the risk? Is this worth them legislating for sex education from age 3 based on signing up to that, okay? There's no risk assessments done through that at all, none whatsoever. It doesn't take into account children being abused in the system, it does take into account children being abused at home. In actual fact, that leads them to protect abusers, in my opinion. And that's all I want to say, guys. Sorry this video is a bit long-winded, but I just wanted to point out to you now the risk factor that we're actually dealing with here, okay, and why this does not suit our country. And I'll ask you one more time, is it worth the risk?